My name is Stella Monroe. I'm 33 years old, and 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend tried to buy himself a vacation by telling his boss I hit him. Not metaphorically, not we argued or things got heated. He used the words domestic violence, with my name attached, for a trip to Miami. People keep asking me how I didn't see it coming. The truth is, I did. I just kept calling the red flags quirks, because quirks are easier to explain to your friends than the man I love can't stop lying. We met in a running club, of all places. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, a group that met at a park downtown did a 5-kilometer loop, then grabbed smoothies or beers depending on how guilty we felt. He was new the same night I'd finally worked up the nerve to go alone. He introduced himself as Caleb, 30, project coordinator at some logistics company. Tall, charming, that easy kind of social where he could remember 8 people's names after one introduction. He joked about being out of shape, but kept pace with me the whole run. Guess I only pretend to be dying, he laughed, hands on his knees, sneakers scuffing the concrete. Gotta maintain the image. I remember thinking it was a weird phrase, but I let it slide. Our first few months together were good, normal. Dinners, movie nights, long runs on Sunday mornings where we'd end up collapsed on my living room floor, sweaty and delirious, sharing takeout straight from cartons. He was funny, ambitious, and he actually listened when I talked about work, which not everyone does when you say you're in construction. Women like you are the future of job sites, he'd tease, nudging my shoulder. Hard hats and high standards. I liked him. I liked us. But even back then, there were cracks. They started small, almost cute if you didn't look too closely. Little edits to reality and conversation. The night he told his friends we'd gone to this trendy rooftop bar the previous weekend. We hadn't. We'd stayed in, eaten cheap pizza, and argued about whose playlist was worse. I called him on it when they went to the bar to order drinks. Why did you say we went there? I asked, keeping my voice low. He shrugged, grinning. Babe, relax. It just makes the story more interesting. They haven't seen us in weeks. I'm not going to tell them we watched reruns and you fell asleep at 9:30. That's what happened. And it was cute, he said, bumping my hip with his. But rooftop cocktails at sunset plays better. It's just storytelling. Storytelling. Image. He used those words a lot. Then I started noticing his Instagram. At first, it was small stuff. He'd post a photo from our run, but the caption would say, early morning grind, even though it was well past noon. Or he'd crop out the clutter in my apartment and call it minimalist life. No big deal. Everyone cleans up their reality a little online, right? Month 3 is when it got weirder. Caleb had this tight group at work. Coworkers who went out for happy hours, office fantasy football, all that. One Friday, his colleague Mia saw me at a company gathering and practically squealed. Oh my God, Stella, that watch you got him is so gorgeous. You have such good taste. I stared at her. What watch? She looked confused and gestured at Caleb's wrist. The one you surprised him with? He said you just showed up with it because you were proud of his quarterly numbers. She smiled at him. Seriously, it was the cutest thing. There was a half second where my brain refused to connect the dots. The watch was nice, but not that nice, and I knew exactly where it came from. His own money and a credit card bill he'd complained about for days. I looked at Caleb. He gave me this quick, sharp look, the kind that says, follow my lead, then laughed. Babe, I told you not to be embarrassed, he said lightly, slipping his arm around my waist. They're twisting the story. I used my bonus. She just picked the model. Mia seemed satisfied. I wasn't. Later in the car, I asked, why did you tell them I bought your watch? He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, eyes on the road. It just came up. Ben was bragging about his girlfriend getting him tickets to some game. I didn't want to look like a loser in front of my team. So you used me as a prop. He scoffed. It's not that deep, Stella. I just said my girlfriend did something nice for me. Isn't that good for us? I stared at him. Except I didn't do it. You lied. He shrugged. You're being sensitive. It's not like I told them you murdered someone. The joke wasn't funny. That was the first time I felt a little coldness in my chest, like a draft under a door you thought was sealed. The lies kept coming, dressed as jokes, aesthetics, content. Month 4, we took a weekend trip. Nothing extravagant, just a small mountain town 2 hours away. We split the Airbnb, split gas, split everything. We picked the destination together because the place I wanted was booked and the place he wanted was too expensive. The following Monday, I saw his post. A photo of me standing on the cabin's balcony, hair pulled into a messy bun, mountains blurred behind me. The caption: when your girlfriend books a surprise weekend escape because you've been working too hard, I don't deserve her. The comments poured in. Wife material for sure. Caleb, you're so lucky. Stella, teach the rest of us how to be this thoughtful. I stared at the screen, throat tight. We were sitting on my couch. He was next to me, laughing at some video. I turned the phone toward him. What is this? I asked. He glanced over. Our trip. I nailed that angle, right? You look amazing. It wasn't a surprise, I said slowly. We planned it together. We split everything. He rolled his eyes. Yeah, but scheduled, evenly split weekend doesn't sound romantic. People get that it's embellished. Do they? He shrugged again. It's content, Stella. I'm just sharing my life. What's the big deal? The big deal. I didn't quite have words for back then. I just knew I felt wrong. Like I was being written into a story that wasn't mine. 6 months in, the lies got bigger. Less about editing reality around the edges, more about rearranging the furniture completely and expecting me not to trip over it. He told his parents I'd gotten a huge promotion I hadn't. He told my friends he was planning a surprise party for me, something elaborate and thoughtful. When they asked questions, what should we wear? What time do we show up? I had no idea what they were talking about. Oh, he said when I confronted him. I must have mentioned it to the wrong person. Just an idea I was playing with. Always just. Just content, just for fun, just a misunderstanding, just a joke. I told myself the same story over and over. He doesn't mean harm. He just wants to look good. He wants us to look good. Plenty of people embellish on social media. It's annoying, but not dangerous. I repeated those excuses like a mantra until they felt like truth. I should have paid attention to how often I was defending him. Not to other people, but to myself. Because here's what I know now, standing on the other side of all of this. Lies that make you look good don't stay small. They grow. They get bolder. They start asking for witnesses, then accomplices. If part 1 of our relationship was cute lies and curated captions, part 2 was where the lies started needing supporting characters. And I was always in the cast list. Around the 6-month mark, I realized how easy it was for Caleb to say something about me that wasn't true and just move on. No flinch, no awkward pause. It was like watching someone rewrite a document in real time while insisting the original never existed. It started with my supposed promotion. We were having dinner at his parents' house. Classic suburban dining room, matching chairs, framed quotes about family and faith, the kind of place where nothing bad ever happens except getting overcooked chicken. His mom was refilling my wine when she said, "We're so proud of you, Stella. A promotion already, and in a field that tough? That's incredible." I blinked. What promotion? She laughed, glancing at Caleb. This one. He told us you're managing your own division now. More money, more responsibility. She winked. I told him he better treat you right before someone else realizes what a catch you are. My stomach dropped. I didn't get a promotion, I said slowly. We just wrapped a big project, but my title hasn't changed. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Caleb jumped in with a practiced chuckle. Mom, you're mixing it up. I said she's basically running her own projects. You know how moms are, always upgrading the story. He said it like it was nothing. Like he hadn't just invented a whole new version of my career to make me look more impressive at his parents' table. On the drive home, I stared out the window, watching the streetlights smear into lines. Why did you tell them I got a promotion? I asked. He sighed, hands tight on the steering wheel. I didn't think you'd correct them like that. That's your takeaway? Stella, come on, it's not a big deal. You do run your own projects. I didn't think you'd care if I rounded up a little. You didn't round up, you made something up. He shook his head. You're acting like I told them you're a brain surgeon. I just wanted them to see how incredible you are. My dad's old school, respects titles and positions and all that. I was helping you. I let it go, or at least I told him I was letting it go. Inside, something was starting to calcify. A month later, he told my friends he was planning a surprise party for me. I found out at brunch when my friend Tessa leaned in and whispered, "What should we wear?" For what? I asked. Your party. Caleb said he's planning some huge thing. He was asking for our numbers to coordinate. She grinned. Is it like an engagement thing? Should I get my nails done just in case I'm in the photos? Heat flooded my face. It wasn't the pleasant kind. That night I confronted him. Why did you tell them you were planning a surprise party? I asked. You know they're going to be hurt when it doesn't happen. He was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He didn't even look up. I didn't say surprise party. I said I was thinking about doing something for you. They probably ran with it. That's not what they heard. He tossed his phone aside and finally met my eyes. Okay, Maybe I got ahead of myself. I wanted them to think I'm a good boyfriend. Would you rather they think I don't care enough to plan anything for you? How about they think whatever is actually true? I snapped. His expression hardened. You know what? You're exhausting when you get like this. All I ever do is hype you up and you nitpick the wording. Hype me up, I repeated. By lying? He rolled his eyes, stood up, and walked to the kitchen. Conversation over. I told myself to breathe, to pick my battles, to not be that girlfriend who turns everything into a fight. I was 33, not 21. I should know how to regulate my own reactions, right? That's what I told myself anyway. Month 10 is when I stopped being confused and started getting tired. He called me one Wednesday morning, sounding pitiful. Babe, he croaked, I feel awful, like flu awful. I already emailed my manager. I'm just going to sleep this off. Do you need anything? I asked automatically. Soup? Medicine? No, you've got site visits today. Just wanted you to know why I might be quiet. It was a sweet script. Considerate boyfriend, loyal girlfriend, very shareable. Around lunchtime during a break between inspections, I opened Instagram. First story at the top. Caleb. Music pounded through my speakers before I could turn the volume down. He was at a festival 2 hours away, drink in hand, crowd behind him. He panned the camera around to show the stage, the lights, the pulsing bodies. Caption. Sometimes you just gotta call in mentally ill and go where the music is. Later, I found out a coworker had seen the same stories, screenshotted them, and shown his manager. He was written up the next day. He came over that night, storming into my apartment, cheeks flushed. My coworker is a petty, jealous little... He slammed his bag down, and my manager is spineless for listening to her. You lied, I said quietly from the kitchen. You weren't sick, Caleb. He whirled on me. Are you serious? You too? I'm under pressure, okay? I needed a break. It's not like I left someone dying on a table. That's not the point, I said. You lied to your job, and then you bragged about it online. Of course someone was going to say something. His eyes narrowed. You know what I needed from you after a crap day like this? Support, not a lecture. My girlfriend should be on my side. I'm on the side of not self-destructing, I said. That includes you. He sulked for 2 days. That became the pattern. He'd do something questionable, get caught, flip the script, and audition for the role of the wounded victim. My job, apparently, was to applaud and hold the tissues. I refused, but I also didn't leave. That's the part I still unpack in therapy. Month 14 was the turning point I should have treated as the finish line. Caleb's sister, Emma, is the kind of person who remembers birthdays without Facebook reminders. She's kind, solid, the opposite of her brother's chaotic charm. One night, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hey, Stella, it's Emma. Can we talk about the car repair? I feel awkward, but Caleb said you covered it and he forgot to pay me back. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't miscommunication. I sat very still, rereading the message. Car repair? Caleb had mentioned borrowing $300 from Emma for an emergency fix a few weeks back. He'd been dramatic about it. If I don't get this done, my car's going to die on the highway, and then who will drive you to brunch? He'd come home later with shopping bags. Clothes, not car parts. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Finally, I typed, Hey, Emma, I didn't pay for any car repair. I didn't even know your loan was for that. 3 dots. Disappeared. 3 dots again. Okay, thanks for telling me. I'll talk to him. When Caleb came over that night, he was already in a mood. You talked to my sister? He demanded before the door even shut. She texted me, I said. She thought I'd covered a repair you told her about. I told her the truth. He threw his hands up. Great, so now she thinks I'm some scammer. You kind of are, I said, my voice shaking now, not from fear, but from a pressure that had been building for months. You borrowed money for one thing and spent it on something else. That's bad enough. Then you dragged me into the lie. I panicked, he snapped. She was grilling me about it, and you make more than me. It made sense. No, I cut in. It made you look better. That's all it ever is with you. He opened his mouth to argue. I didn't let him. You will open your app, I said, pointing at his phone on my coffee table, and you will send Emma the $300 back right now, and you will tell her exactly what you did and that I had nothing to do with it. His jaw clenched. You can't order me around. Watch me. We stared at each other for a long moment. I think we both knew that if he walked out, we were done. He grabbed his phone, yanked open his banking app, and transferred the money. I watched the little loading circle like it was a heart monitor. When the complete message appeared, something unclenched in my chest. Now text her, I said. He glared but typed. I lied about the repair. I used the money for clothes. Stella had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. I didn't ask to edit it, I just needed the words "I lied" to come from him. When he hit send, his shoulders dropped. Tears sprang to his eyes. "I'm sorry, okay?" he said, voice cracking. "I don't know why I do this. I just panic. I say whatever will get me out of the moment, and then I can't take it back. I know I have a problem with impulsive lying. I'll work on it, I promise." He reached for me, desperate. "Please don't give up on me. You're the one person who actually calls me out. I need that." I wish I could tell you I held the line, that I heard the word problem and thought therapy instead of project, that I didn't melt at the sight of a grown man crying on my couch. But I did. I let him fold into me. I rubbed his back while he shook. I told him I believed he could be better. I wanted that to be true so badly it hurt. "Just don't use me as a cover again," I whispered into his hair. "If you lie about me, it's over. I mean that, Caleb." He pulled back, eyes red, and nodded. "I swear, never again." He didn't work on it. There was no therapist, no accountability, just a few quieter weeks where he tried harder not to get caught. I remember going to bed that night feeling like we'd dodged some kind of bullet, that we'd grown through conflict like all those relationship advice posts say. Now I know the bullet didn't miss. It just circled the block and came back later, bigger and faster, with my name written on it. 2 weeks before everything truly detonated, I was already worn thin. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from loving someone who lies. It's not like regular tiredness. It's bone deep, like your body has been trained to brace for impact even when nothing is happening. You sleep, but you don't rest. You're alert, but you don't trust your instincts anymore. That's where I was with Caleb. Month 16, he'd pulled another stunt, this one involving my family. My mother had spent 2 days cooking for a small family dinner, the kind she adored hosting. Her philosophy was simple. If she made roasted chicken, garlic potatoes, and 2 desserts, peace on earth might actually be achievable. Caleb agreed to go. He even wore the blue button-down I'd bought him last Christmas, the one he said brought out his eyes. Everything seemed fine. Until 15 minutes into dinner, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, made his face fall dramatically, like a man in a movie whose dog just died, and stood up abruptly. "I'm so sorry," he announced to my entire family. "My boss just called. Crisis at the office. I have to go. Stella, I'll text you." He didn't even wait for me to respond, just grabbed his keys and left. My mom touched my arm. "Poor thing, he must be under so much pressure." I smiled weakly. "Yeah, pressure." That night, around 11, my cousin texted me a screenshot. Caleb's Instagram story. Him at a bar with 3 guys, laughing, one arm around someone's shoulder, music blasting in the background. Caption: "Emergency. I needed shots. Crisis resolved." I didn't even confront him that night. I was too tired, too numb. When I brought it up the next day, he collapsed into tears again. Same script. I panicked. "I'm under stress. I didn't want your family judging me. I'll do better." At this point, I didn't believe him, but I also didn't have the strength to blow up my life. Not yet. It felt easier to delay the inevitable, until Thursday morning, the morning that changed everything. I work as a construction project manager. That means early mornings, thick boots, and hours on job sites where my phone is more of a hazard than a tool. That day, I'd been in back-to-back meetings from 8 to almost noon. My phone stayed in my truck, volume off. When I finally returned, dusty and hungry, I checked it. One unread text sent 4 hours earlier, from Caleb, 9:47 a.m. Caleb: "Hey babe, just a heads up. I told my boss you hit me last night so I could get the rest of the week off. The guys planned a last-minute trip to Miami and I'm out of PTO. Don't blow my cover if anyone asks. Thanks. Love you." I read it once, twice, a third time. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The world around me, construction noise, wind rattling loose metal, gravel crunching under boots, went silent. He said it so casually, like he'd asked me to pick up milk. I realized in that moment that every tiny lie he'd ever told had been practice, rehearsal for this, for the day he needed something bigger, something with weight, and decided my name was the easiest currency. A false domestic violence claim, against me, for vacation days. If he told his boss, that meant HR might have documented it. HR might have triggered internal protocols. Those protocols might require reporting to authorities. And once that ball started rolling, there was no pulling it back. That one harmless lie could ruin my entire life. My career, my reputation, my future relationships, everything I had worked for. And he'd done it between his morning coffee and packing beach shorts. My mind didn't spin or spiral. It sharpened. A clarity I can't fully describe settled over me. Cold, steady, surgical. Like I stepped outside myself and walked into a version of me that knew exactly what needed to happen. First, I took screenshots, full screen, text bubble, timestamp, his name, his number. My phone background visible. Then I turned on airplane mode and took them again. Then again from another angle. 3 backups: my phone, my cloud, my email. You don't live with a liar for over a year without learning to save evidence. Next, I sat in my truck and drafted an email to Caleb's company's HR department, which I found on their website. Subject: False domestic violence claim by your employee, Caleb Harper. I kept it factual, professional, no emotions. I attached the screenshots. I stated clearly, I have never struck Caleb. His claim is false and made solely to obtain time off. I CC'd his direct supervisor. He'd complained about the man relentlessly. Funny how people underestimate the ones they gossip about. Then I hit send. I'd never felt more calm. After that, I called the non-emergency police line. The dispatcher listened, asked questions, then patched me to an officer. He gave me an official email to forward the evidence to. I did. Within minutes, he responded. This is absolutely something we will investigate. Do you want to press charges? He asked. Yes, I said, absolutely. Those words didn't tremble. When all that was done, only then, only when the truth was secured in a way Caleb couldn't distort, I finally texted him back. Stella, I won't blow your cover. That's it, no punctuation, no emoji. Later, I realized it was the only time in our relationship where I could say something technically true and morally righteous in the same breath. I wasn't going to blow his lie. I was going to detonate it. Around 2 p.m., my phone started buzzing nonstop, vibrating across my desktop like something possessed. 6 calls back to back, then voicemails, then texts. Caleb, what are you doing? Why aren't you answering? Stella, call me now. The police are at my office. They're saying I lied. Everyone is staring at me. My boss is in HR. I think they're firing me. What did you do? I waited for the last one, the one I knew would come. 2:47 p.m. Caleb, they're firing me. The police want me to come in. Stella, what the hell did you do? I replied, Stella, I didn't blow your cover. I told the truth. There's a difference. Then I declined his next call. Then the next. Then I blocked him. Everywhere. Phone, social media, email, all of it. It took 10 minutes to eliminate him digitally. It would take much longer to eliminate the parts of me he'd slowly eroded with his lies. But that was something I could work on later, when I was safe. For now, all I felt was an odd, hollow calm, like the silence after a storm when everything is broken, but finally still. When people imagine the aftermath of a breakup, especially one involving police, HR departments, and a detonated lie, they picture chaos, screaming, door slamming, maybe even dramatic movie rain. But that night, my apartment was quiet, unnaturally quiet. I walked in, set my keys on the counter, and realized the silence felt different, like a room after someone's been evicted, even though nothing had physically changed yet. I locked the door behind me. Then I unlocked it. Then I locked it again. It was the first time in 18 months that I felt the need to confirm I was alone. I didn't trust that Caleb wouldn't show up begging or yelling or spinning some romantic, desperate monologue about saving us. For a man who lived inside his own stories, it would be on brand. I went to the hardware store. 15 minutes later, I came back with a new deadbolt kit. I own my condo outright, one of the few non-negotiables I'd kept after years of watching friends share leases with people they regretted dating. I never gave Caleb a key, but I had loaned him mine a few times when he needed to drop something off or pick something up. That was enough. I changed the lock myself. Construction experience comes in handy in the strangest moments. The click of the final screw sliding into place felt like a full inhale after months of shallow breaths. Then I packed. His belongings weren't much. Caleb liked rotating wardrobes, and he rarely left things at my place for long, unless he wanted them to be noticed online. Still, there were stray clothes, some toiletries, a few books, and one of his colognes that had migrated into my bathroom cabinet. I put everything into a cardboard box, taped it shut, wrote one sentence on a sticky note. Your belongings, do not contact me again. I placed the box outside my door in the hallway, an offering to whatever came next. After that, I did something I'd never done before. I told the truth before he had the chance to lie. I called my sister Ava, then my best friend Naomi, then my parents. I explained everything, step by step. The text, the reports, the screenshots, the evidence, the police, HR. Their reactions were a mix of horror, anger, and stunned silence. My father, who rarely says much, finally muttered, "You saved yourself. I'm proud of you." My mother whispered, "Are you safe?" 3 times, voice trembling. I sent them all the screenshots because with Caleb, words were never enough. Evidence was the only thing that mattered. Evidence was the only thing that couldn't be rewritten. Then I reached out to a few close friends, just in case Caleb tried to run ahead of the story. I didn't frame it as gossip. I framed it as self-preservation. Everyone I showed the screenshots to answered with some variation of, "Oh my God, what the hell? I can't believe he did that. You did the right thing." One friend, Marcus, said, "He's lucky you had the proof. If he'd said that without the text, they'd have taken his word." He was right, and thinking about that still made my stomach turn. The next morning, Friday, I got a call from a detective. Not the officer I'd emailed, but the one assigned to the case. "We'd like you to come in to give a formal statement," he said. I went right after work. 2 detectives, 1 recorder, and a legal pad. I laid everything out. Our timeline, his pattern of lying, the previous incidents, the way he used my name, the false claim, the screenshots, the emails, the sequence of events. I didn't embellish. I didn't dramatize. I didn't need to. The truth was cinematic enough. They explained how Caleb's company's domestic violence policy worked. Mandatory documentation, mandatory HR incident report. The fact that HR had already escalated the situation because Caleb framed it as employee safety. His lie wasn't harmless. It wasn't personal. It was institutional now. One detective said, "This is cut and dried. He admitted in writing to making a false allegation. That's a crime." They asked if Caleb had any reason to believe I'd go along with it. "Yes," I said, because he had a long history of lying and expecting me to cover for him. I gave examples. They took notes. When the interview was over, they thanked me for coming in. "We'll be forwarding our findings to the district attorney," one said. "You may need to testify." I understand. And I did. For the first time, I fully understood the stakes. That evening, I returned home. The box outside my door was gone. Caleb, or someone he sent, had taken it. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel sadness. I felt nothing. Just quiet. The following Monday, HR from Caleb's company emailed me. They wanted to schedule a call. When I answered, the HR representative's voice was clipped, professional. "Ms. Monroe, thank you again for reporting this. We took immediate action. Caleb Harper's employment has been terminated." She paused, then added delicately, "We'd also like to confirm that you do not intend to pursue any action against the company." "I don't," I said simply. "You weren't at fault." They thanked me, said if I needed anything, I could reach out. I never did. On Tuesday, I got another call, this time from the district attorney's office. They were filing charges, false statements, fraud, misdemeanor, likely fines and probation. Court date set for 6 weeks. My hands didn't shake, my breath didn't catch. All I felt was a quiet, heavy confirmation that this was real. Not a nightmare, not an overreaction, not something I could soften or undo. This was the cost of his convenient lie. By Wednesday, the ripple effect started. Mutual friends reached out. "Stella, Caleb called me crying. He says you overreacted. He said it was a joke. He says you ruined his life." I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I simply sent them the screenshot. Every time, the conversation ended the same way. "Oh," except for one person. Her name was Lisa, Caleb's ex-girlfriend. She and I were never friends, barely acquaintances, but she had always hovered around Caleb's life like a shadow he never fully cut loose. She messaged me, "Lisa, Stella, I heard what happened. Caleb made a mistake. He doesn't handle stress well. His childhood was awful. You shouldn't have gone nuclear. You should have talked to him first." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Me. He accused me of domestic violence to get time off. That's not a mistake. That's a crime." She replied within seconds, "You didn't have to ruin his life." I blocked her. People who enable liars speak the same language. Excuses. I was done translating. That night, I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Safety. Not happiness, not relief. Just safety. It wasn't loud. It wasn't triumphant. It didn't come with music or movie lighting. It was simple. A solid floor under my feet. A locked door. A version of myself who finally chose truth over someone else's story. I fell asleep without checking my phone once. And in the morning, I didn't wake up wondering what lie I'd have to navigate that day. 2 weeks out from the text that could have destroyed my life, the world felt strangely steady. Not healed, not triumphant, but steady, like standing on ground that wasn't shifting anymore. When someone lies as reflexively as breathing, you get used to instability without even realizing it. Silence becomes suspicious. Compliments feel like setups. Peace feels like the absence of truth. It took losing Caleb to understand how deeply I had adapted to chaos. The Friday after HR fired him, the story hit the local news. A small online article. No names, just local employee charged with making false statements in connection to domestic violence reporting. Anyone who knew us could piece it together. My phone lit up with messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Is this about Caleb? Are you okay? Holy crap, Stella, was this him? I kept my responses vague. I'm not discussing it. I'm fine. I can't comment. I didn't owe anyone more than that. For the first time in a long time, the truth didn't need defending. It didn't need explanation. It didn't need me to hold its hand and guide it into the light. It stood on its own. Sometime the following week, I did something I had been putting off. I hired a lawyer. Not because I needed to fight anything, but because someone who survives a liar, that bold, learns to prepare for the worst-case scenario. He was a friend of a friend, a calm, older man named Jacob, who wore glasses on a chain and listened without interrupting. When I finished telling him everything, he nodded. You handled this exactly right, he said. You have evidence. You followed the proper reporting channels. If he tries to retaliate or fabricate anything else, you're protected. He kept a file open for me. Didn't charge unless something came up. A safety net I didn't know I needed. When I left his office, the sun felt warmer, not because life was perfect, just because I had backup now. Word traveled, as it always does. A friend texted me one night. FYI, Caleb moved back in with his parents. Another message the next day. He's been applying for jobs, but the background checks are flagging the pending charge. One more. He told people he's working retail now, part-time. I tried to feel bad. Really, I did. Compassion is a muscle I've always been proud of, but anytime guilt surfaced, I remembered one sentence. I told my boss you hit me last night so I could get the rest of the week off. And any pity evaporated. He hadn't just jeopardized my job, or my reputation, or my safety. He jeopardized my entire life, because Miami sounded fun. It was never my job to shield him from consequences he created. People often ask, how did you miss the signs? As if liars show up wearing warning labels, as if manipulation is always obvious, as if love doesn't soften the edges of things you should run from. Here's the truth. When someone lies all the time, you start lying too. Not to them, to yourself. You minimize. You rationalize. You decide it's not that bad. You tell yourself you're being mature, patient, understanding. But really, you're becoming complicit. Caleb didn't just lie to me. He trained me to ignore my own discomfort, to accept less than honesty, to excuse behavior that should have sent me sprinting for the door. The little lies softened me up. So when the big one came, I was just numb enough not to panic, just clear enough to act, just exhausted enough to stop protecting him, just awake enough to save myself. I spend more time at the gym now, not because I'm chasing revenge body nonsense, but because lifting weights makes sense in a way people don't. You put in effort. You get a result. No lies, no manipulation, no surprises. Just work and reward. Honest, simple math. I needed that kind of clarity. 2 weeks after everything happened, I got the official court date confirmation. 5 weeks from now, I'll sit in a room under fluorescent lights and testify if they need me. I'm ready. Not eager, not vindictive, just ready. People still ask me if I regret reporting him, if I should have talked to him first, given him a chance to explain, considered his feelings. Those questions used to sting. Now, they just prove how little people understand about danger. If I confronted Caleb first, he would have panicked. He might have tried to get ahead of it, as liars do. Maybe told HR he misinterpreted something. Maybe claimed I forced him to recant. Maybe doubled down on the lie. Maybe twisted everything until the truth got swallowed whole. I've seen enough true crime documentaries to know how these spirals work. The only thing that saved me was evidence and acting immediately. You don't debate with someone who shows they're willing to destroy you for convenience. You protect yourself. You tell the truth. You report the lie. You don't wait for the explosion. You control it. And here's what I know. Now that the dust has settled, a person who weaponizes dishonesty, who uses serious accusations as tools, who treats your life as collateral damage for a good weekend, that person doesn't need a conversation. They need consequences. If I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing. Except maybe one thing. I would have walked away sooner. Long before Miami. Long before the HR emails. Long before the police. Long before he used my name as armor for his selfishness. Maybe back when he lied about the watch, or the promotion, or the car repair, or the family dinner. Because every lie was a rehearsal. Every excuse was a test. Every apology was a reset button he relied on me to press, and I finally stopped pressing it. Today, I'm not angry. I'm not heartbroken. I'm not even relieved. I'm something better. I'm clear. Clear about what I tolerate. Clear about who I trust. Clear about the warning signs I'll never ignore again. Clear about the difference between love and delusion. Clear about how close I came to losing everything. And clearest of all, when someone shows you they're willing to burn your life down for convenience, believe them, then save yourself.